I'm going to tell you about the book of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Personally, we like this book because it has a lot of fantasy, because you can imagine everything that the book said. Like Alice, the principal character that follows the white rabbit and she falls in the rabbit hole. She find and plays with a lot of strange people and animals, like the smiley cat. And it has a lot of imagination because in sometimes she eat a little bit of a cake and she can grow up a lot of. But if she drink the from a bottle of water, she make it small, so you can imagine like a very big or very small. And it's because the last part, when she plays with the queen of hearts, when she play croquet with her. So you can imagine, like, well, the mullets are flamingos, so she thinks about alternatives from the things that are very common. So that's why we choose this movie and the book eventually. And for us, it's amazing and very interesting because you can imagine everything.
Alicia's anime film was made in 1951, and this story is based on the two works of Alice: Alice in the Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. This movie is very representative for Disney. The story begins with the story lesson that Alicia receives from her older sister, which she does not pay any attention to. Alice plays with her cat Diana and imagine what a world of her one creation would be like when she falls asleep. Suddenly, Alicia sees a white rabbit with Jack and Wash, which, if she does not see a sign, was finally gone up in church. The rabbit entered a burrow. Alice followed him and found into the hole for a long time. So Alice arrives at Wonderland, where she is involved in a series of very special events. The race we now fit in.
Alice in the Wonderland is a movie of fantasy film directed by Tim Burton and produced and distributed by Walt Disney Pictures, inspired in the books The Adventures of Alice in the Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, but by Lewis Carroll. And in the animated movie of Disney of 1951, Walt Disney Pictures in Latin America, he debuted between March 4 and 5 of 2010. In this film, a new character was added, the White Queen, who does not appear in the original story nor in the animated Disney film. While all the versions from the original Alice in Wonderland books, movies, comics, and video games happen completely from the point of view of Alice. In this version of Tim Burton, for the first time, there are scenes in which Alice does not appear, therefore the existence of the characters is not linked to the presence of Alice, either in alternative dimensions or in the mind of Alice.
The conclusion that we made is that if we compare
the two films. The first film is better because in the second one doesn't capture well the sense of the book. But if we compare the first film with the book, it's better the book because in the book catch better the sense of the characters and do that you fell in love with these characters. So as well as the book explain in a better and detailed way the characters, and you can understand more easier the moral of the story than the films. In the same way, we can say that the personalities of these characters, as well as the many scenes, are not the same in the film and the book, but honestly are the most interesting those scenes in the book. And speaking of the characters, something that causes conflict is that in the film, the Mad Hatter is a bipolar person, when really in the book he had a type of schizophrenia. And for example, in the books, there are three types of queens, and in the films, mix these personalities of these queens. So really, it's more advisable and more worldwide that read the book.